Beautiful people. So today we are going to talk about creating products and pricing strategies to meet the customer needs. Now, sorry, these are our learning outcomes. And we're going to start off. We're going to say, so marketing at its very core is just ensuring that the goods and services or ideas are delivered to the right place, to the right people at the right time, in the right places, and at the right price. Okay, so we're looking really at place, at time, at price, and at the audience as well. This is known as right principle. And it's really just a fundamental cornerstone of any marketing strategy. What it essentially means is that marketing is all about getting everything to align perfectly to create value for the customer. So the customer knows exactly, the customer feels like they are, you're bringing them something important, okay? And it could be silly, but it's important to them, right? And so one of the key points of marketing is finding out what the needs and the wants actually are. Okay, so what do people actually need? What do they want? So essentially, what you're looking at is marketing. You're either looking to solve a problem or you're looking to highlight a passion, okay, which then correlates with needs and wants of the potential buyer. So whether you're targeting a particular organization or individual customers, your job as a marketer is really just research, listen, and understand what the customer truly values. So this means that you're engaging in activities like market research, you are looking at customer feedback, and you are trying to identify what are the places and the things that you need in order to get your product to be where it's at. Think of like Instagram Reels or TikToks. There is a method to the madness. There are particular things over time that you realize, oh, well, they're catching people's attention in this particular way. So if you recreate that formula, then you've listened to what people actually want, and this is how your page ends up going and growing. Okay? Make sense? And the last thing that we are talking about here is that marketing is about creating an exchange. And so it's probably the most vital point. And an exchange occurs when the two parties give something of value to each other to satisfy their respective needs and wants. The two parties are the customer and the business. And at times, for example, let's say I'm running a voting campaign. If I want you to vote for the president, right? I'm the US government and I want you to vote for the president. You voting is not going to get me money, right? So the exchange is not money. The exchange is a vote. Okay. So I'm giving you valuable information, which is like the mail ballots, right? So you get your ballots in the mail. That's valuable to you. In exchange, I get the vote. Right? Not I as the person running, but I as the governing body. I get you to behave in a particular way. I deliver a funny reel to you, you follow my page, or you like my post, or you share it. Make sense? That's the exchange that's happening. So the exchange doesn't always have to be monetary. Okay? So the exchange also is more than a one-time transaction. It's an ongoing process that, when done right, leads to an actual relationship. Okay, so think about, again, Reels or TikToks. How fast do you follow an account? What do you think? Do you just immediately follow them? Typically, you see a reel or two or three. They kind of keep coming up on your For You page, and then you eventually follow them, right? Or the other aspect of it is that you see the video and then you go in and watch some more, like 4 or 5 of them, and you're like, yeah, I want to follow, right? So it's a relationship that you're building with the customer, okay? So that's the foundation of it. So the marketing concept refers to the idea of focusing on the needs and wants of the customers to create value, as we were saying, and it emphasizes that successful marketing strategy is not just about satisfying the customer, but also about organizational goals. So it's not just about the person; both have to satisfy their wants and their needs. Okay, and the way to accomplish this is marketers use data to uncover customer preferences, behaviors, and trends. What ends up happening is that with this knowledge, you can, as the organization, you then start to craft strategies that not only provide customers with what they desire, but also allow the businesses to thrive. So, for example, a company might gather data and customer purchasing patterns, then adjust its pricing. So if they notice that there is a spike in purchases around a certain holiday, then they will adjust their pricing that way. Okay. If they notice that people are going to the competition strictly because of price, then they will do that. And so they would adjust based on data. So data is actually very important. And the thing is, we live in a world today where there's so much data available. And that availability of data allows us to really gain this insight if we know how to manipulate that data and how to understand it. Okay? Now, the next thing that we have is customer value. And this is a critical component of good marketing because it's the ratio of the benefit to the cost. Okay, so what's the customer's value or sacrifice the customer has to make in order to get those benefits? So you have to think about high quality products that is priced just right. So the customer feels like they're getting more value than what they are paying for, which then drives customer loyalty and repeat business. We are growing together, right? You feel like, oh, this was really good. And when you feel that way, you also end up sharing it with other people, right? Okay. And then the last one we have here is customer satisfaction. And this is very closely linked to value. And it's about ensuring that the customers feels their expectations have been met and or they have been exceeded, which either way is great. Have you ever been to a restaurant and they're like, how long the wait is? And like, oh, we don't know. It could be about this much, right? And they never exactly tell you how much it is. Like, oh, it's 5 minutes or it's 10 minutes. They never say that. And they don't because they don't want you to come back and say, oh, well, you told me. And even if you don't, you'd feel disappointed. So let's say they tell you, oh, it's 10 minutes and it takes 45. How would you feel? How would you guys feel? Disappointed or angry or whatever. But let's say they tell you 45 and it takes 10. How do you feel? Oh, it's a lot better, right? Because now you feel like you're getting more value. Like, oh, good. I was just, like it's an exciting thing. So this is kind of also a way to message. Okay. So essentially, a satisfied customer is more likely to return, and they're also more likely to provide a positive word of mouth. Now, if you go to the majority of Yelp reviews, they're either really, really bad or really, really good. And unless you're an avid Yelp reviewer, then you don't go out of your way to say, oh, well, this was mediocre, right? Or this was okay. It was pleasant. It wasn't great. But if you felt like, oh, there was something more, then you'd go ahead and you'd say that. So a good like customer interaction, a satisfied customer would want to return and would want to continue as well. Okay. Now, relationship marketing is all about building a long-term relationship with your client. So meaningful relationship with customers rather than focusing on this single interaction or really just a transactional exchange. Okay. You want people buy from people. They don't buy from businesses. You buy because you believe that the brand has a personality that you identify with for the most time, for the most of the part. right? If you're walking into a gas station to buy a bottle of water, you really don't care which gas station you walk into. But even then, you'll find that there are people that are loyal to particular gas stations. Like, no, I only go to this one, right? This has better quality X, Y, and Z. So what you're thinking of, or what you're doing here, is that you want to create loyalty and trust by continually offering value and addressing customer needs over time. Okay, it's not, it's like being asked out once and then you expect that you're in a relationship with the other person and there's no work that's being put. You're like, well, that was a pleasant date. And then what happened? If he doesn't call you back or she doesn't call you back, you're like, we'll forget you, right? So then it departs. But if that person shows consistency, if that person shows dedication, if all that stuff is working, then you're more inclined to go out with that person again. It's a pleasant experience. They're consistent. They're communicating more often than not. They'll stay in your life. Same thing with companies, right? If you had a pleasant experience and if the marketing is done correctly, then they are creating a brand personality of someone who really does care. Yeah. So important, a really good metric for relationship marketing is something called customer lifetime value. Now, the customer lifetime value is a productive measure that estimates the net profit a business will make from a customer over the course of the relationship. So how much money will you make over the lifetime of that customer as your customer? So if you are making baby clothes, okay, or you're making baby bottles, after 2, maybe maximum 3 years old, that's the end of the customer lifetime for you, right? People are not going to continue buying bottles for someone who's 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 as the kids get older. So the lifetime value is 2.5 years, maybe. So you have to think, how much net profit will I gain from each of my customer if they are loyal and consistent with me? So companies that understand the customer lifetime value can make smarter decisions about where to allocate their resources. So for example, they might invest in a loyal customer who has a higher customer lifetime value rather than trying to acquire new customers continuously. So maybe you make baby bottles, but then you also make, I don't know, pull-ups, okay? So not diapers, like the pull-up diapers. So once you're done with the baby bottle, you can then invest more into keeping that customer so that they can buy your diapers from you rather than going somewhere else, okay? Or rather than going outside to get that. Because the idea is that it costs a lot more to acquire a new customer than it is to keep a consistent one, okay? Make sense?
Also have like membership for like people with businesses because since they buy in bulk and stuff,
There's
is that like a relationship?
Yeah, that could be one. But Costco offers a place where you get discounted stuff anyways, right? Or in theory, because you're buying it in bulk. Yeah, I think because there's always good deals at Costco, you're like, okay. And then they send you the coupons or whatever, and you're like, oh, and it's always like things that you need every 3 months or 4 months, right? So they keep you coming back. Oh, yeah. I'm running out of, dish soap. I'm running out of this. Oh, there's like $5 off. And so you'll find that it's never the consistent product that's on sale. It's always something new or something different. So that would be part of their relationship building. The fact that they have a membership, the fact that they've had a subscription even before subscriptions were a thing, right? So they have this subscription model and it feels exclusive to a certain degree, and also you already paid for it, so might as well use it, right? So the marketing mix is usually referred to as the 4 Ps of marketing. And what you have is product, price, place, and promotion. Okay, product, price, place, and promotion. Now, the product is refers to anything that the company offers to meet the need or want of the customer. So this could be a tangible good. So, for example, smartphones are a tangible good. The like the lines, phone lines, whatever, they're not tangible. Yeah. So that would be intangible service. Okay. Or marketing for a company might not be a tangible service, but it is a product. Yeah. So, for example, an intangible service would be a streaming platform, a subscription to a streaming platform. That's not something you can physically touch. Okay. So it's important to note that a product can be an idea, such as thought leadership in a specific industry, or brand messaging that creates customer loyalty. Products have both tangible aspects, so like the design and the features, and intangible elements such as brand perception and emotional connection. Okay, so a Dior tote bag is the same thing. It does the same function as a tote bag you buy from Target, right? But is it of the same value? What's the difference? The logo, but what is associated? It could be the designer. What's associated with the brand? What is it? Price is different, yes, but it's priced based on something, right? So when you buy a Dior bag, let's say you buy a tote bag and it's $7,000, okay? And it's like this big, and then you can have the same quality of material, have the same quality of everything, and buy that similar function of a purse for $100 max, okay? Why would you pay 7,000 versus the 100? The brand image, right? There's an emotional perceived value that's not tangible that you pay for because you think that this is, or you believe, or the entire world believes that there is an association. Why? Because they've created such a value of the brand itself, right? And you can have that as this would be part of it, part of the intangible portion of that. Okay. So products have both tangible aspects and an intangible aspect like the brand. The next thing we have is price. And price is what customers give up in exchange for the product and service. It doesn't just mean the monetary cost, it could also mean the non-monetary costs like time and effort. So for example, let's say you want to, and this happens a lot with luxury products, but let's say you want a Rolex. The waiting list for a Rolex is 3 years, okay? What you're paying for that Rolex is not just the 15,000 or the 20,000 or the whatever many $1,000s. What you're paying for that Rolex is the 2 to 3 years of waiting. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So for example, waiting a long time for a new product release has an opportunity cost attached to it. So time could have been spent somewhere else. Pricing decisions are critical because they impact the customer's value and brand positioning. Let's say you offer a service, and at times you offer that service, you're like, well, I'm doing this as an act of charity, so I don't want to get paid for it. And so the people you're talking to begin to overlook your services, because they're like, oh, well, they're offering it for free, so it must not be important. Okay, so then what you do is you have to create a value around it. Even if you go back and let's say donate that money, okay, you have to create a value around it so that it is perceived as something important. Okay, there's a reason why a Dior bag is $7,000. There's a perception around it. Okay, so again, it impacts the customer's perception and value of the brand positioning. Now, if the price is too high, the product may be out of reach for your target audience. Too low, it may signal low quality. Okay. So these companies need to understand that their market position, cost structure, and value they provide when they are selling their or when they are setting their prices. The next one that we have is place. And place or distribution. So it's the method by which products reach the consumer. So how do they get to that product? This is a logistics problem. It's a delivery problem. It's like, how do I get, what do I need to do to ensure that the customer gets this product? Is it through a channel? Maybe there's an influencer and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to get my product in front of these people through this influencer. Does that make sense? Okay. So, all right. And then the last one is promotion. And so this is probably the most visible aspect of the marketing mix, but all of these are all part of the marketing mix. So all of these marketers have to think about. But promotion is, it encompasses ways a company communicates with potential customers. So you're looking at advertising, sales promotion, public relations, personal settings, social media marketing, and all of the things that are like that as well. Questions so far? All right, so environmental scanning is constantly monitoring external forces that can impact the organization, and there are different things that could impact the organization. So you're looking maybe at social factors, demographic factors, economic forces, technological forces, and political and competitive and global as well. So when we talk about cultural focuses or forces, are the things that are changing in the beliefs of the society that you're serving, or maybe the demographics, or not just the demographic, because demographic goes under. So perceptions about role of women in the family, perception on all kinds of different things that impact what is right and what is wrong, what is moral or ethical and what is not, okay? These would be cultural and social factors. Now, demographics, maybe a decline in birth rates, okay, then shifts the entire demographics. Economic forces, something happens in the economy, which determines what's going on in your company, like what's it called? Like, let's say you have an earthquake that hits somewhere. You're like, okay, well, I'm getting all my products from there, and so this is going to impact me. Technological forces, so the innovation of AI, people are concerned, am I going to lose my job? Is it going to take over, right? So many other things that can influence that. Political and legal, are there different policies? New elected president, did he change a policy? Competitive forces, is there an increase in competitors around you? Global, things that are happening in the world internationally that could potentially impact what it is that you are doing. Yeah. Questions? How do we feel so far? Good. So now we want to define the target market. And this is probably the most fundamental concept in marketing. Because the idea is that target market is a specific group of customers that a business aims to serve with the product and services. So yes, you can say, oh, I want everybody could buy my products and service. And that's true. But you're not targeting everybody, right? So again, so going back to the baby bottles, who are you targeting? Who's your customer, target customer? Moms, maybe dads, right? Parents with newborns. But occasionally, someone going to a baby shower will go and buy one. Does that mean that's your target market? No. Some random person off the street that is going to visit some people who just had a baby may go and buy the bottle as a gift. Is that your target audience? Most likely no, right? So yes, theoretically, anyone can buy it if they want to, and if they have the money and they're willing to exchange that money, or they're willing to exchange it for the value that they perceive. Yeah, they can buy it. They're more than welcome to. But they are not your target audience. So you have to be very specific in who your target audience is. And it could be different groups, right? You can target different groups with different ads or different types of marketing, but it still is the same. Okay? Right. So here, how do you define your target market? Well, you can look at demographics, so age, gender, income, education level. You can look at geographics, so urban versus rural locations. Maybe you're selling something, you open a taco restaurant in the Inland Empire. Are you going to market in New York? Right? No. Okay. Or maybe even in LA. You're not going to do that. The majority of what you're going to do is you're going to market locally. So your target audience, yes, there are people who love tacos in Singapore, but that's not your target audience. So you're looking at the geographic. You're also looking at the psychographics, values, lifestyle, interests, attitudes. And you're looking at behavioral factors. So what are their purchasing habits, brand loyalty, usage patterns, and so forth. So what you want to do is you want to create something called a competitive advantage. What do you think a competitive advantage is? What do you guys think? What does it sound like the words are saying? Competitive advantage. To have an advantage on the market, to make you more competitive, right? That would be an advantage, bless you. That would be a competitive advantage. So what you want to do is you want to create a competitive advantage in a way that sets you apart in the eyes of the target market. Okay. There are different types of competitive advantages. Some of them is cost competitive advantage. And this is when a company can produce a product or deliver a service at lower cost than the competitors. It doesn't necessarily mean the product is priced lower for the customers, but rather that the company operates more efficiently through that person, okay, or through that medium. And that leads into better profit margins, okay? So they're doing things more efficiently, they're saving money, they're able to save the client money as well. Walmart is a great example of cost leadership or cost competitive advantage. And it uses its massive buying powers to negotiate lower prices and pass some of these savings to the customers while maintaining profitability. Okay, so other companies may not be able to do that. And Walmart and Target are probably the biggest competitors of each other. Yeah. And so what you have there is that, my goodness, even though they have the same purchasing power theoretically, Target prices its product a little bit higher than Walmart. And that is because they want to create a little bit of a brand that, oh, this is better. This is more high class. This is more bougie. Does that make sense? While they are selling exactly the same thing for the most part. Differential competitive advantage focuses on uniqueness, what makes you different in the products that you offer. Okay. Service differentiation is out of service, okay? Like, what services do you offer that is different from your competitors? So essentially, companies that excel in an area provide a level of service that customers can't find anywhere. So you're creating a relationship that transcends the transaction. Niche competitive advantage is focusing on a particular niche or niche, whatever, however way you decide to pronounce that one. And you really have a narrow segment of the market and you serve it better than anyone else does. Very, very specific. Tesla, in its early days, focused on a niche market of luxury electric vehicles when no other makers was seriously addressing that segment. Okay, they focused on that. They then expanded to its reach, but that was their main focus at that time. Questions so far? All right. Product strategy is the central, or the product is basically the central of the marketing mix. So you have to have a good product strategy when looking at the name, the brand name, the packaging, and the design. And so it's about deciding how you want to, the product, how do you want to position the product in the market and what features will it have that differentiate it from everyone else. Okay, so yes, Tesla is a car, but what's different about it? Okay, so that would be their product strategy. They made the entire dashboard different. They made the, oh my gosh, how do you open the car? Handles. Yeah, that. They made the handles different. It's funny because I couldn't even think about it in Arabic either. It's not like I had the word in Arabic. I didn't have the word in any language. So they made the handles different. They designed it a little bit differently. And they did that to differentiate it because that's part of their product strategy. Now then you have pricing strategy, and determines it's based on products features like product cost, demands, competitive pricing, and perceived value. Again, not actual value, perceived value. We talked about the Dior purse. The Dior purse's actual value, maybe $100 if it's a really good leather and fantastic quality, right? Maybe 150 to 200. The product itself is $7,000 because that is the perceived value, not the actual value. Okay, so you have to take that into account when you're doing the pricing strategy. So Tesla, for example, adopted a premium pricing strategy, and so their vehicles are expensive compared to traditional gas-powered cars, not necessarily anymore, right? But the customers were willing to pay a little bit higher price because of their perceived values, such as environmental benefits, cutting-edge technology, and luxury. Okay, so people were looking at that. So forth. Okay. Promotion strategy encompasses all the ways a company communicates with its target market to inform them about the product and persuade them to purchase it at the very end, right? You want people to buy it. So you're looking at advertising, which is you can go through billboards, TV ads, whatever. You're looking at sales promotion. So you're offering discounts or a limited time offer. You're looking at public relations. So engaging with media to build a favorable image. And you're looking at personal selling where you have a direct relationship or interaction with the potential buyer as well. And the last one that we're talking about here is called not-for-profit marketing or nonprofit marketing. And this is used to promote causes, build awareness, and attract support. So the idea is that what you're not necessarily looking for a return on your investment in terms of money. You're looking for people to change their behavior, or you're looking so people would know that the service exists. Yeah. Like when you're donating blood, sometimes they're like, oh, well, here's tickets to the movies or $40 or whatever, right? Or a gift card or whatever, right? And so they're not necessarily looking for the money, they're looking for blood. And that's the perceived value, right? That's part of it. So customer purchase decision making process is what is the process that customers go through to buy a product? First and foremost, they realize that they have a need. Okay. So you have a need, or maybe something triggers it. Maybe you're not feeling like eating tacos, but I've mentioned tacos like 4 times already. You're like, yes, tacos are a great idea. Okay. So that triggered it, and you're like, I'm hungry. Let me get tacos. Okay. So then you realize, oh, there's a need. Then what do? So I'm talking about tacos. You're like, I'm interested. What's the next step? Find a location, right? So you do an information search. You go on Google and you're like, closest taco shop near me. And does it give you one? Typically, it gives you multiple of them. Okay. And so then you evaluate the alternatives. Cool. So you're like, I don't like their menu. They don't have great ratings. This one seems good. Okay. So then you evaluate the alternatives. You drive over, you make a purchase. Then you either say, okay, well, this was great. I'm coming back here again. Or you say, well, it was ice, right? And I'm not coming back here again. So this is essentially the process we go through all the time. Whether you're purchasing a house, or you're purchasing a car, or you're purchasing a plate of tacos. Make sense? So you recognize a need for a need or a problem, and it could be triggered by internal stimuli, so something within you, such as hunger or thirst, or something external, like an advertising or a word of mouth, kind of like what I was talking about, right? And then you go out and search for information. Sometimes it's internal research, which is a memory that you have. Oh yeah, I know this great taco place. You don't have to look it up, right? So you look it up within you and you're like, ooh, I'm in Chino. There's one that's over there. Great, this is what I'm gonna get. Okay. Or external sources or external search, which then you're looking at friends, families, reviews, advertisement, online searches, and so forth. You then evaluate the process. And so, let's say you are choosing a new phone. A customer may evaluate the iPhone, the Samsung Galaxy, or the Google Pixel, and you're looking at maybe quality of pictures. You're looking at battery life. You're looking at the price. And so all of these are evaluation of alternatives. You then make a purchase after evaluating. You're like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to buy. And so you end up buying it. And so, for example, a customer may have decided on a particular model or car, but if a dealership offers better financing or another model, the customer may be swayed in another way. Okay. And this is the purchase decision. You're like, okay, well, I want a Honda Civic. But well, this Honda dealership is offering X, Y, and Z, whereas the other one doesn't have that. And so I'll go to this one, and that would influence your purchasing decision. And then you have post-purchase behavior, and it refers to the customer's feeling after they buy a product or service. So it's crucial to manage this phase to build long-term customer loyalty. So if the product meets or exceeds expectation, the customer will most likely to experience satisfaction. But with big purchases, you then have like this withdrawal. You're like, oh man, I wish I didn't do this. Okay. Does that make sense? All right. So there are different uh, roles for cultural, social, and psychological factors on making or buying a product or service. Cultural factors, what products are considered valuable and desired in a certain culture can vary widely. Okay, I think at one point we talked about how like different McDonald's in different parts of the world have different menus. This is the same thing. So these are cultural factors. Social factors, so a person's peer group or family can heavily influence their decision making. So recommendations from trusted individuals often weigh more than advertisement. Sorry. And then you have a person's psychological factors, so a person's motives, attitudes, and perceptions all play a role. And so how a product aligns with a customer's self-concept or lifestyle can be a deciding factor if you're purchasing or not, right? So does it matter to you if you have the Dior purse or does it not? Okay, that would then influence, that would be your lifestyle that you are saying, well, this is something I want to carry and I want to invest this money into it. Or maybe you have a lot of money and then they're like, okay, well, I'll invest in this. Sorry, I think we missed one. All right. So the decision-making process in a B2B business, so what you're doing is business, you're selling business to business, from a business to the business, not from the business to the customer or to the consumer. And the market is often a little bit more complex than the in customer market, and it usually involves a higher degree of analysis, and they tend to be larger, more strategic, and often more long-term. One major difference between the B2B and the B2C is the intended use of the product. So B2B purchases are made with the purpose of using the product to produce something else, improve operations, or provide a service. And this is not the case where you have this one-on-one thing, okay? Businesses have a classification systems like the NAICS, North American Industry Classification System, or the Standard Industry Classification Codes, and they define industries and sectors, and these helps organizations categorize and analyze their target market. Their idea is to make it systematic so that it's not all over the place, and you can look for trends and you can look for things like that. So those are things that you would look into if that would be additional when influencing marketing in other areas. Now you want to split your marketing into segments. And it's very important to do that because you may have a product that works for multiple groups of people, okay? And so you want to figure out, how do I segment my audience, my big audience, into smaller chunks so that I can talk to them as if it's a personal conversation, as if it's a one-on-one conversation. So you're looking at things like maybe age, education, gender, income, race, social class, and household size. So you can say that, oh, well, I offer a product to women, and women is a very big thing. But maybe your product doesn't work for 60-year-old women. Maybe it works from 20 to 40. Does that make sense? So then that would be the segment you're focusing on. So age can play a significant role in how companies target their products. So for example, brands targeting younger audience may emphasize technology and sustainability, while those targeting older generations might focus on comfort and reliability. Then you have income, okay? High income consumers may be more attracted to premium products or luxury brands, while lower income consumers may seek affordability and value. And then household size can impact companies' market products, especially in industries like food, retail, and housing as well. You also have geographic segmentations where you are dividing people based on regions or based on population density. So is this urban or suburban or whatever, and cities or country sizes, and sometimes even climates as well. You will find a lot more coats if you go to the East Coast in the winter than you would in California. Yes, you'll find gloves and coats and things like that, but you're not finding the snow stuff everywhere, right? You have to go to a very specific sporting places to get the heavy snow gloves or the snow boots, which is not available at your local, I don't know, Burlington's, okay? Which is supposed to be a coats factory, okay? But if you go to New York, yeah, they should be easily there. You'll be able to find them. All right. The next one is psychological or psychographic segmentation. So you're looking at dividing people deeper into lifestyle, personalities, interests, values, and attitudes. This method recognizes that just because two individuals may have the same age and live in the same city does not mean they share the same interests or values. Okay? They can be somewhere, the same place, and not have the same interest. You can have a twin sister right next to you, and she could want something and you could want something else. Okay. So you have to divide it based on, there has to be like a deeper level, which is a psychographic segmentation. You can also divide it based on benefits. So what are the benefits they are looking for? So for example, in the car industry, some consumers might prioritize safety while others might look for performance or fuel efficiency or whatever. Or convenience, right? Minivans and soccer moms have been highly linked together as a result, right? It's so convenient to just be able to put your kids in that van and just continue, okay? Volume segmentation is the next one. And it divides the market based on the amount of usage, whether it's light, moderate, or heavy users. You walk into Stater Brothers and you can almost literally buy a single banana, one single banana. Whereas you walk into Target, you walk into Costco and you buy 10, right? As a bunch together. Cool? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you are looking here at what is tangible and intangible attributes of a product. Tangible attributes are physical features that can be directly measured. So the product itself, so maybe the type of material to what the product is made of, whether it's made of metal, plastic, cloth, a combination of material, and so forth. So for example, in Tesla's case, the material is high quality aluminum for the body, premium glass for the roof, and so forth, okay? So those are tangible things that you can actually touch. Color, you obviously can't touch color, but you can see the color that's different, right? You can tangibly touch that aluminum that is colored. The packaging, the attachment, so additional products that come with it. In Tesla's case, this could be charging equipment, software updates, additional accessories that enhance the driving experience. These are all part of the tangible products. Then you have the intangible attitudes, the things that you can't touch. And these are things like warranty. So a warranty provides a peace of mind and acts as a risk reducer for the customer. So you're more inclined to buy it because you feel like if it breaks down, there's someone who can fix it. Okay, service after sale. What do I get after for you to keep that relationship going? And even for me to invest in it so that I have that peace of mind, right? So sometimes it's not about necessarily creating quote unquote a loyal customer, which it is usually, but sometimes it's about getting you to buy that product, knowing that there's follow-up, especially if it's a high ticket product or you perceive it to be a high ticket product. Image of retail store. For example, Tesla retail stores are designed to be sleek, modern, and inviting, very much like the Apple store. Okay, you feel like, oh, it feels welcoming, it feels different, it feels innovative, it feels all this stuff. That is an intangible attribute. It's all part of the marketing that is there. And finally, brand image that you have. And the brand image is synonymous with, in Tesla's case, it's synonymous for innovation, sustainability, and cutting edge technology. So a product's tangible attribute provides functional benefits, while its intangible attributes build emotional and psychological connection with the customer. So you kind of need a balance of both if you are looking to create a brand and you're really looking to feel it and put it all together. All right. So unthought products, these are products that consumers do not necessarily actively seek out, often because they don't think about them regularly and they're not aware that they need them or that they exist. Okay. Um, like, the portable fans that you can take with you to places. Most of the time, you don't think of that. But if you're traveling to Europe in the summer, you should have one. Okay. You don't think about that. You may not even know that you need it, but then someone goes to Europe and they're like, take this with you. And you're like, all right. So those are the kind of things. These are products that you didn't go seek out, but turns out you need it. Okay. So examples more are life insurance. Most people don't go seek them out. Burial plots. You don't necessarily go out and buy them. But eventually if you're aware of things, you end up buying them maybe in your 60s or something like that. Okay. Effort that you put in, so no or minimal effort. These are typically low interest products, and most people they don't think of them until an event or a circumstance makes them necessary, and then you're like, oh, okay, I really have to have this. Okay, and these products require significant promotional effort to create awareness and a sense of urgency. Like, oh, this is important, so I have to do this. Convenient products, they are low cost, frequently purchased items that require minimal efforts on the customer's part. So soft drinks, bread, milk, coffee, you don't really necessarily care what brand of milk it is. If it's whole milk, you just buy it. Okay. Maybe you look if it has preservatives or any chemicals in it. But if it doesn't really matter which one. Okay. You don't think about it much. So very little or minimal effort. These products are bought regularly and often with little thought. And then convenience products are usually marketed through mass distribution, so customers expect them to be readily available in various outlets, and price sensitivity can be high. So if you are buying eggs, and one of them is $5 for 12 eggs, and one of them is $7 for 12 eggs, you'll buy the $5 one. So they're very sensitive to high prices or changing prices. The next one we have is specialty products. So specialty products are unique, often luxury or high-end items that customers make a significant effort to obtain. So expensive jewelry, gourmet restaurant, limited production cars. There's a maximum effort there that you have to put in as the consumer. They are niche products that people are willing to go out of their way to purchase. And then specialty products rely on exclusivity and premium branding. So companies market these products by creating an aura of prestige or uniqueness. Okay. Questions so far? So here we're looking at what is called as the product life cycle. And this is a concept that helps us understand how sales and profits change over time for a given product. Okay. So you have, this is kind of called a bell curve. And essentially it looks like, I think his last name is Bell, but either way, it looks like a bell. So you have the introduction of the product, people don't really know about it. Then there's this phase where it's just growing, and then it goes into maturity where it's kind of like at its peak, and then it begins to decline. And so this is where you kind of, if you're like Apple, then you introduce the new iPhone. Okay, then you introduce something new. Okay. So in the introduction stage, you are and sales, so sales growth is typically slow at the production or the product is new to the market and customers have very low awareness of it. At this stage, profits are either negative or very low due to heavy costs associated with product development, with marketing, with initial distribution. So for example, an iPhone that was launched and the iPhone 4S launched in 2012. Sales picked up. The costs associated with launching a new model were still high. I don't know why that is such an old iPhone that we're talking about. Anyways, the growth stage. So in sales, products gain market acceptance. They increase rapidly. People know more about them. This is probably one of the more lucrative stages. There are more things, and so there's a significant growth. So in the example of the iPhone, you have the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus, which were introduced in 2014, 2015 versus the 2012 iPhone 4. And that saw a significant growth in reaching over $155 billion. And this was the peak period for the iPhone series as the market expanded rapidly. And Apple capitalized on the smartphone trend. Of course, they continue to do that by restarting this cycle over and over again, by introducing new features, by making people want to say, oh, I want an upgrade. I want the better one. Maturity stage, these are sales reach their peak, but they start to level off. And so the market becomes saturated, meaning more customers who want or need the product have already purchased it. Okay. The profit is still high, but it starts to stabilize and then it begins to decline as the competition intensifies. So you started off with ChatGPT, and then you had a bunch of other AIs show up into the playing field, right? So that would be an increase in that competition. And then the decline stage is the last one. And so the sales begin to decline as the market becomes saturated, newer technology emerges, and so forth. And so profit drops off as companies either withdraw the product from the market, or they have to reduce the price, right? You have clearances, you go to TJ Maxx or Jason, and you're like, okay, well, they're not expensive to begin with, but then you have things that are extremely on sale, even in these places. Why? Because they're trying to offload their merchandise, okay? Better than throwing it away. All right. So companies must really manage the products through these stages by adjusting their marketing strategies for each one. So for example, in the growth stage, they may invest in scaling production, while in maturity stage, they may focus on product differentiation. Okay, so you have to kind of have your checkpoints between these places so that you can stop and you can revisit and you can find out what it is that you can change as a result of that. Sounds good? Yes? Falling asleep? You will survive. There's two more slides. That's it. We're almost there. All right. So what are the marketing objectives to each of these ones? Well, marketing objective, products, distribution, promotional, and pricing. In the introduction for marketing, you are looking at encouraging trial and establishing distribution. You're also looking at growth. So once the product gains traction, the objective shifts to getting people to repurchase the product and attract new users. And in maturity, you're looking to seek new users as the market becomes more saturated. And then in the decline, you're looking to reduce marketing expenses while focusing on keeping loyal customers so that you can then change that lifetime value into a different product, okay? Within the product, in the introduction, you're looking to establish a competitive advantage through your product. In the growth, you're maintaining quality. Maturity, you're looking to modify the product to stay relevant. So adding new features, improving design, or even making it more cost effective, right? You look at the iPhones now, there's a series of them and you have some that are $500 or $400, whereas that wasn't the case when you had the iPhone 9, for example, where it was at the heights of its cycle, right? You could see it over here. In terms of distribution, you are in the introduction, you're looking to establish a distribution network. In the growth, you're looking to solidify distribution relationships. Maturity, you're looking to provide additional incentives. And decline, there's a here is when you want to eliminate trade allowances. So as sales drop, there is less need for a widespread distribution. So it's kind of slowing down, and you have to account for that. Within pricing, within promotion, you are looking to, in the introduction stage, you're looking to build brand awareness. And that involves maybe heavy promotion spending on advertising, public relations, and other things like that. You're looking for more awareness. And you're shifting the information or providing information that encourages repeat purchase and explains new features and so forth. And then within the maturity stage, you are repositioning the product to target different segments. And within the decline here, you're looking to eliminate the most advertising and sales promotion. And then the last one we have is pricing. And in the pricing, you're looking for introductory price during that phase, which can follow skimming strategies. So high price to maximize profit initially. And then you begin to lower the price when there's a market penetration. And I think Tesla did this, right? Tesla started off really expensive to a certain degree. Yes, the first Tesla cars. Let me see.
One of the first ones was super expensive. I think their cars were like, they weren't as economical as they want to be.
Yeah, right. So they started off at a hold on, let's see how much.
I don't think they had all the models either.
No, right. This is
So
yeah.
super expensive.
So the Roadster that you're talking about was 109,000. And it was marketed as a luxury item, but as they began to penetrate the market, they were able to drop the price. And so you can kind of see that in that cycle, right? And so this is called skimming strategy. Growth is a strategy, or in the growth phase, in this, you're looking to maintain prices as demand increase and products become more stable or established. Maturity, you may need to reduce the prices to stay competitive, which is right what we see Tesla has done. And then decline is companies often maintain prices to avoid price war, but they will typically reduce production costs to keep the product profitable. All right, so price skimming, as we talked about, is introducing a product at a high price and then gradually lowering the price over time. Now, this strategy is often used with innovative or high-tech products where early adopters are willing to pay premium for the latest technology or features. Okay, this is where we use price skimming. And then as you go in more and more into the company, then you can, or into the market, then you begin to lower your prices. Penetration price is the company introduces a product at a very low price to achieve mass adoption and increase market share quickly. You see that in software all the time, right? New software, relatively cheap. You can get that software for lifetime deals at AppSumo or whatever the case is. And you go to places like that, you'll find these products that are $100 for a lifetime. Whereas if you want to buy them now, they're $50 a subscription. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Leader pricing involves pricing products below their normal market, even at a lower, like less than they cost. Yeah, less than they would cost you to make them. Or this is called a loss leader, to attract customers and to win over market share. And so once you do this, then you can, and then they will buy additional items at regular prices. So it's kind of like cross-selling, okay? You bring them in for this, but they end up buying other stuff. So you are losing X amount of dollars on this product, but you know that once they come in and they buy this product, they end up buying other things. So you can see that maybe Costco does that with their food court. Okay, the food court doesn't make money, but everything else makes a lot of money. Okay. So at times you stop by Costco and you're like, okay, let me grab a hot dog. But you don't just stop by Costco. You buy things from Costco. Odd even pricing, which is a psychological pricing. And so it sets odd numbers to suggest a bargain, and an even number to imply high quality. So when you have $9.99 and $10, it's the same thing, right? That basically you're paying the same price. But if I say $10, you feel it's like more quality. If you say $9.99, you feel like you're getting something for it. Okay. Or you would do $49.95. Okay. It's not much off from 50, but it tells you, oh, like, oh, there's a space between those two. And it's a psychological thing. It's not an actual necessary thing, but it makes you feel as a consumer like, oh, okay, well, no, actually, I'm saving money. Okay. And then the last one is prestige pricing, and pricing a product higher to give the impression that it is of superior quality. So this is really used for luxury goods where higher price itself becomes a part of the product's appeal and exclusivity. So there's a perceived value that is there. Cool. Yeah. All right, my friends, that is it for this one. Any questions? Anything on your minds? No? Okay. I'm going to end the recording there.